Foundation? What's up, YouTube? Man, it's me, your big partner, Cartoon53. Man, I'm back with a very, very special, exclusive interview, man, with a very esteemed gentleman right here, man. Y'all seen the interviews I did for the disciples out of Birmingham, Alabama. You seen me do interviews with the Blood Gang out of Birmingham, Alabama. This right here is an interview that's near and dear to my heart. I'm doing an interview with the Crips out of Alabama. But the thing with this one is it got a twist to it because the ending of it is so significant. The ending of it is very, very important to a lot of youth and a lot of people that's out there in the streets, man. So with no further ado, I'd like to introduce my partner right here. I'm gonna let him tell y'all who he is.
How you doing, man? It's good to be here, Tom. Appreciate the offer to come out. I'm Stephen Leonard, though, 46 of age, from Birmingham, Alabama. Grew up in the Ensley community. And I think it's an honor and a privilege for my homie to call me out here and speak with me concerning my life, because I think it's important that my story be told. Other than that, man, I'm just waiting on you to just ask me some questions, because when I truly believe that my story can help somebody. I believe that my story will inspire somebody. Even yourself, you was an inspiration when it came to me being a Christian or changing my life over into for God, knowing where we come from. I think I met you at the early age of 17, 18. I think I met you really early in the county jail. But it's just been a transition, man. It's been a blessing. Again, I think it's an honor to be here with the foundation. And any questions you got for me, I'm an open book, man. Anything you got for me.
Okay, let's start. How old are you?
I'm 46.
You 46. That's what's up. That's what's up. And you born and raised in Birmingham, Alabama?
Correct, yeah.
Born and raised in Birmingham. What elementary schools did you go to?
Man, the thing is, I went to Tuxedo. Tuxedo was right in the Ensley community. I don't even know if it's still up. I think they tore it down because they did the community over, the old brickyard. But went to Tuxedo. I went to Council. I went to Scott because as when we was young, we was kind of suffering from poverty, so we moved around in Ensley a lot. So Ensley got different schools and sections, and so I went to Scott, Council, Tuxedo, and I think those are only 3 elementary schools I ever went to.
Okay, what junior high?
I went to Glenn Middle. That's on Pike Road. Started at Glenn Middle because we were living in Ensley at the time. We transferred from Ensley to Wylam. So the school zoning was different, and that sent me to Bush Middle. That's right on Ensley too, Red Cross Viaduct. Everybody should be familiar with it. That school closed down too.
Okay, and high school?
Ensley High School.
Ensley High School.
Yes, sir.
That's right, that's right. So what was your upbringing like in Birmingham growing up as a child?
Well, believe it or not, my upbringing was a lot different than most people that took the path that I took and chose in life. For instance, my dad and mom have always been adamant believers of Jesus and Christ. As far as I can remember, I was a part of some type of religious service in church. My dad was a co-pastor. He wasn't a pastor at the time, but he was a co-pastor. We grew up in a very religious household. I mean, very religious, no skirts. We didn't partake in things pertaining to the world when the Bible said be separate from the world. My dad took that literally. He didn't play. You know, we didn't go to parks or fair festivals, anything that consisted of the world. So I grew up in a very strict home, man. Very, very strict.
So how did you get to the point to where you took to the streets?
Well, that's most of everybody's story. Poverty. My mom was what you would call a stay-at-home mom. My dad did everything for the home. He was a man in my opinion. He didn't asked my mom to work. She had 5 kids, including me. I was one of 5. So she was a stay-at-home mom, and my dad had some injuries that caused him to not be able to work the way he was in taking care of our home. And I was very young. At elementary school, I noticed that our refrigerator was starting to look empty. We was getting evicted out of the projects, and people don't normally get evicted out of the projects, so that's how bad we were off. I remember coming home from Tuxedo one day, and as I got closer to our apartment, I noticed that my mom was standing on the corner near, looked like furniture. And I got to the corner, my mom was standing there, and she was trying to be strong, but I could tell she had been crying. But this is all our stuff out here. She's standing guard on our property. And it hurt my heart. It did something to my heart to see that. And as we continued to grow, as I continued to get old, I noticed that the poverty didn't change for us. So to be short of your question, man, poverty took me to a level of criminal life that I didn't think it would. You didn't ask this question, but I'm gonna say it if I could. My mom would say stuff to me like, God got us, or God gonna take care of this, and I'm looking at our refrigerator. I'm looking in pantries. I'm looking in stoves. When I know that we used to have food, I get home from school, there's milk and a gallon of water. You know what I'm saying? So it was things like that that made me say, I can't wait on God. And I think I made that decision at 12, 11. Mm-hmm. And I remember specifically one day, bro, and I came home. I'm in elementary school, no younger, I think I was in the 5th or 4th grade. There was nothing in the refrigerator. And some friends of mine in Ensley, we was in Ensley on Avenue K, 15th Street. Some friends of mine, I choose not that they say their names right now, but there was a corner store we had in Ensley at the time, hood on, and we committed a crime on that store at the early age of 10. And everybody in that group of ours was getting candy and sneakers. I was grabbing flour and eggs, and I'm trying to get out of a little window that we forced the air conditioner out to climb in. We were small enough to get in. A grown man at the age 9, now we couldn't have got in, but it was just big enough for children to go in and out. And I remember taking that stuff to my mom, man, and it was just, from that point on, I chose the life of crime, and it was whatever way I could put some food in our house or help, I did. And my mom never knew it to this day that how flour or egg mix or whatever, things that she would cook would end up in our house.
So let me ask you this: what made you turn toward being a Crip?
Well, that's an interesting question. My community was always gang related or frats, what we call frats. We had what we call TYG, SYG, Sigma, Sci-Fi, and my brother, he's older than me, he was a GD, and he took to GD way before I did, but I watched their initiation. I was in the cut. I wasn't supposed to be watching, but I snuck around and watched them, and I seen how they handled my brother. I'm being honest, the GDs, I seen that they was, and they handled my brother kind of tough, and then they asked him a bunch of questions. Later on, after his initiation, they would ask him. It was just really, to me, it was strict, and it was just like you had to bow or somebody had to be over you. I was like, and at the time, people were asking me, man, won't you be a disciple? Won't you buy, I'm saying, I ain't telling them because they want to offend, but I'm like, that ain't for me, because I ain't with nobody telling me what I can and can't do, At the same time, I got big homies in the hood too, because at that time, it wasn't Bloods. Now, people can say Blood been around Birmingham for years. In my early age, there was only Disciples and Crips, and they had what they called the 8-ball. I'm sure you're from Cali, you don't know what the 8-ball is, but anybody that's old, that was a sign that they did like this. That was Crips and Disciples. and it was consolidated. So we would throw up the 8 ball. That means Crips and Disciples was consolidated as one. And I had homies that was TYG, and the way it went then, you went from TYG to SYG over into Crip. TYG lead you to Crip, because most YGs were Crips. So you couldn't go into Crip at an early age, so you can go become a frat, which is the TYG, which is I was initiated for TYG. And TYG leads up to CYG, but CYG, TYG, and SYG, the Crips at that particular time of how I understood it. So that led me into the Crips, and as I was led into the Crips, I understood that it was everybody was equal. It wasn't no you a chief and you telling me what to do. You know, we had the big homies, we had the OGs, but they instructed you on how to survive, not trying to be your superior. I know nothing against GDs and none of the gang. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying I wanted to be a part of something that I could still be my own man. I wanted to still be able, if I wanted to go blast on somebody, I ain't got to say, hey, is it okay for me to go, you know, I wanted to do what I wanted to do. And that led to another part of criminal activity, because at that time, Crips and Disciples, then you started having a few bloods coming in, so that led into a part of bang. And then we always had what you call the Cooper Green area, the Gate City area, and what we would do, we would go to the fairgrounds. Right now within 5 Point, they got all the little fancy stuff now, I forget what they call it now, that area. But we would go there just to bang, just to catch other neighborhoods, just to catch Bloods. If they had enough guts to conquer Bloods, wouldn't just come to Ensley like that. They would not, because it was prohibited. And I ain't saying they went around, but they didn't come to Ensley and do things like that. So if they did, they were very cautious. So it just went from there to juvenile hall and linking up with other Crips and for long, you know, your name get out, you know, we Crip associated. And you didn't ask this question, but the odd thing about that, my partner, one of my, at the time, I'm gonna call him a friend now, but early age, it was 3 of us, 4 of us actually, 3 Crips and 1 Disciple. And you didn't see either one of us. My hood is built up on not just, we were community, but we was built up in cliques, but the cliques was one. In other words, it was 4 of us to the clique we hung out every day. You got your set of cliques of people, y'all hang out every day. But if anything were to happen, all of us are consolidated. We'll come, this is how Ensley the party was set up. So, and it may sound strange, I'm sure Cali don't work like this, but in my hood, when I was growing up in Ensley, it didn't matter what you were. If you violated the party, you violated all of us. You could be a Crip coming into that hood, and if you did something in violation to our standard of living, our code, it just happened like that, you know. So
right.
I didn't start understanding the true concept of Crip until I started getting locked up. You understand what I'm saying? If that make any sense, when you get locked up, you understand that Crips work in consolidation. They work in a unity. They form. They actually form together. You
start seeing the inner workings of it.
Right. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like in jail, you can't be a Crip when you're going through jail and realize, and he a disciple and you ride. You can't. It ain't like that. It ain't the same way from the streets to jail. So you start learning how the foundation of Crip is.
The rules and regulations.
Right. The rules and regulations. So that didn't come until I started getting locked up at the early age of 14.
Let me ask you this: did when you first became a Crip, did you have to get jumped in?
Believe it or not, when we came through, I was initiated through TYG.
Okay.
My homie, he's dead. He was big Crip. He still gets kind of sensitive. He was murdered in Ensley. Case still kind of sensitive, because he still have family out here.
Right.
But big homie with Crip, once they initiated us into TYG,
okay,
it was many of
that's
us.
right, the transition.
That transition,
different levels.
Old enough,
right?
Because I was too young to become a Crip. You couldn't be Crip at 15. Now Cali can make him go down at any age,
right?
But I was initiated like at 12. Jumped in from a YG that leads up until initiation.
Right, I understand. So how long was it before the Crip started bringing you into contact with the Bloods that were in Birmingham?
I didn't come into contact with blood until I started going to jail. Like I said, I
started going to
was
jail.
really.
You ever been to state school?
Yeah, that was Mount Meigs.
Mount Meigs, yeah.
Right. So it was.
What was that like?
It was different. Like I said, because you learn, and once you come into the system, of course you're gonna be asked where you from and what gang and what set you claim. My hood carried weight, and the set you claim carried weight. So you're coming into versatile neighborhoods in jail. I'm coming into contact with not Cooper Green, but Gay City. This is the Blood neighborhood. I'm coming in contact with Bloods from Gay City. I'm coming in contact with GDs and Crip from Fountain Heights, from Druid Hill, and everybody. You think your hood is just this particular hood, then you realize, hey, this is all over Birmingham. Everybody's hood is set up like this.
Right. I had to go through that too. Like even in Cali, man, coming up gang banging. As a young kid, 11, 12, 13, you're not leaving your neighborhood. You only know what's immediately around you. Then when you start going to juvenile hall, you start seeing people from all over the city, from different areas, different gangs. You be like, oh man, I didn't even know all this existed.
Right.
That's when the fighting started.
Right, exactly. And you have to stand for that.